You are listening to the Healthy Leader Podcast with Tracy Fisher, episode number 33.
Welcome to the Healthy Leader Podcast, where it's all about optimizing your health, energy, and performance for your mind and your body. And now, your host, Master Coach Tracy Fisher.
Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing today? I will tell you that I am very excited about today and about our topic. I have a lot of energy around this topic. And speaking of energy, I have a note here before I forget to ask you to use some of your energy to leave a review for this podcast wherever you listen to it. I would love it if you leave a 5-star. I've heard from many of you saying that this podcast has really made a difference, that you are getting a lot out of it. And I appreciate those kudos. And I would really appreciate it if you would also just take a little bit of your energy and leave a review. So as I look out my window, the fall weather is beautiful. There is this process happening all around us that I absolutely love. I know a lot of you do too. I've spoken with some of you about fall and the change in weather and how beautiful it is and the leaves. And I have always really enjoyed watching the leaves change. And I was thinking about how this process that we are watching, and it basically is a chemical process. We're watching basically the chlorophyll in the green leaves break down and that color disappears. And then we can see these gorgeous red and orange and yellow colors inside of the leaves. And we can see this beautiful change or exchange of energy taking place. It's basically a metabolism that is happening. And metabolism is basically defined as a chemical process of a living organism that occurs so that it can sustain its life. And I love this because the trees are physical evidence of a similar process that's also happening inside of us all of the time, whether we are aware of it or not. And when I look at the trees, it reminds me of this energy exchange, this mental, emotional, and physical energy exchange that is happening when we are breathing and when we're eating and when we're sleeping and when we're thinking and when we're feeling. And all of that energy happens without us truly ever having to think about it. Now, of course, we think about the way that we think here and we think about how we are feeling, but really a lot of people just go from season to season without being aware of this miraculous energy exchange that is occurring. And here's like the drum roll moment, without being aware that we can actually manipulate that energy exchange. Unlike the trees, we can take that natural flow of energy and not just sustain our lives, but use that energy to thrive in our lives, to create some really amazing things in our communities and in our bodies. We can generate money. We can have better relationships. And that is exactly what we are doing when we manipulate our own energy on purpose. And we're doing that this month in the Healthy Leader Inner Circle. And we have a community of highly successful people who know how to manipulate this external energy to run businesses and hospitals and startups and Wall Street and more. And they are also learning and practicing the art of manipulating their own energy, their own mental, emotional, and physical energy. They are manipulating their physical energy to feel better physically in their bodies, to have more and steady energy throughout the day. They're also manipulating their emotional energy so that they can feel calm when others are freaking out. Or maybe they're injecting some passion or confidence before a talk. It's also about that mental energy piece and being able to focus and to concentrate and to organize a project with many moving parts, or being able to focus on one particular challenge or issue when we know that there's another one burning in the background. And so we are basically practicing the art and science of energy manipulation. And so in the circle, we are looking at a lot of different ways to do just that. And today, I am really excited about zeroing in on one specific concept, and that is the mental energy, the natural flow of our mental energy that we can use on purpose to our advantage. And this is exciting to me because I think that many of us aren't even really aware of our capability or our ability to do this. And the ability to manage our mental energy is really a foundational element to behavior change or behavior exchange, depending on what you are focused on. And this is really important to understand because often I see people who are frustrated with themselves for not sticking with a plan, whether it's to eat better or to drink less or to get up earlier or to go to bed earlier or to work more or to work less or just fill in the action piece. Or if they're taking their right actions consistently, perhaps they are feeling deflated or defeated or frustrated because they're not seeing the results as quickly as they want. And what ends up happening with that kind of energy is that we shift from one plan to another before we give it its full due diligence, or we quit and then we start again, and then we quit and then we start again. And we spend a lot of energy in that starting and stopping cycle. Or, and I see this often as well, we just resist change completely. We just quit seeking out that thing that we want because it's just too hard. It takes up too much energy. And it's too hard, I believe, because we don't really understand the energy exchange. We don't understand the mental flow of energy that is happening in our brains. And there is this one point in that flow that I really want for you to understand, because this is the point in our brains and in our minds where we create and build resiliency and discipline and patience and confidence and all of those mental skills, the mental energy that helps us with our own self-leadership and our own results. And it also, of course, helps us in our leadership relationships. So we are going to explore this by going to the mental gym. So you already understand the importance and the power of going to the gym, whether it is Gold's Gym or Lifetime Fitness, which was my favorite gym. That's where I got started with all of my certifications, 20 plus years ago now. Or if you go to the gym in your basement, or just if the world is your gym, you understand how important it is to move your body to improve or strengthen your muscles around your skeleton, or the muscle of your heart, or to improve your stability and your mobility and your balance and your agility. Like, you get that you would go to the gym to do that, wherever your gym is. And when I was a trainer, one of the most frequent questions that I would get was, should I lift weights or should I do cardio first when I'm at the gym? Which one is better for me? And the answer to that question is, it depends. It depends on the result that you are looking for. The energy system, or the pathway, if you will, that you're going to use in the gym needs to be aligned with the same pathway that you want to use to perform. So for example, if you are a golfer and you want to have more power in your swing, or if you are a tennis player and you want to have more strength in your serve, then you would train accordingly in the gym. You would do high-powered short bursts of movement. That kind of power move is very quick. And so you want to use an immediate short-term, they would call it non-oxidating or non-oxidative system, which you might know as your anaerobic system. And so you would use power and strength in that way, and that energy system, to get those particular performance results. But if you are a long distance runner or a cyclist and you're going to go longer than 800 meters, then you're going to want to use a different energy pathway. And that's the aerobic pathway. You're using it for a longer term, and it's an aerobic oxidative system that you're using. Right? So you get the idea that you would use a different system to train in the gym so that you could perform in the world. And so, just like in the gym, we want to be aware of our mental energy pathways and how we can train them. Because if we are training our mental energy pathways, what that means is that we are using our brains to our advantage instead of having them work against us. And understanding that our physical action takes place only after we have a mental action is critical to understand when we're trying to change our behaviors, when we're trying to do something that we haven't been able to do before, or we haven't been able to do consistently, or that we think that we can't do because of something in our past. So knowing your mental energy pathway truly is the solution to self-command and understanding it and using it on purpose for whatever you want. Now, our brains are extremely complicated and amazing, and we will probably never figure out, at least not in my lifetime, exactly how that bad boy works. But you know that I like to simplify things so that I can use them and so that I can share them with you so that you can use them immediately, so that you can start shifting your mental energy immediately. So what I'd like you to do is to imagine that you are in the gym, like Gold's Gym or any kind of gym. And I want you to notice that there are two people at that gym, and they're completely equal. They have the same goals, they have the same body type, and they both, I'm going to name them Tim and Joe, want to increase the bulge of their biceps. They want to exchange their smaller bicep muscles for bigger bicep muscles. So they are going to do some bicep curls. And so as I go through this, I want you to think about being in your gym and what it is that you would like to exchange. It could be bigger bicep muscles, but maybe you would like to exchange procrastination for consistency, or self-doubt for confidence, or eating desserts and junk food for eating healthy food. Or maybe you would like to exchange a dull and ho-hum relationship for a very passionate and energetic relationship. So think about what you would like to change in your gym. So back at the gym with Joe and Tim, here's what happens. And I want you to watch this process. They are standing there. They're both lifting weights. They're doing their bicep curls. They are engaged in focused action. And then in the background, the TV blares a little bit. There's breaking news. Something has happened on the news. And so Tim turns to the TV and he starts to watch it. And as he's watching, he just kind of stops doing the bicep curl. Kind of slows down at first, then eventually he stops doing the curl. And he's listening to what's going on in the TV. He's very interested in this breaking news. And after a few moments or minutes, he realizes that he's no longer lifting, and then he goes back to lifting. The other guy, Joe, was lifting the whole time. He did hear the TV. Maybe he even glanced at the TV for a moment, but then he turned back to what he was doing, and he finished doing his bicep curls. And so by the time Tim got back, Joe was on his second set. Now, in this story, there are basically 4 key energy cycles that I want for you to be aware of when you go to your mental gym. And here they are. They are 1, focused action, 2, distraction, 3, awareness of the distraction, and then 4, a return to the focused action. And if you think about it, that cycle occurred for both Tim and also for Joe. In Tim's case, he was focusing on his bicep curls. He heard the distraction of the TV. He walked over, he listened to it. He became aware that he was distracted, and then he went back to his focused action. Joe also was focusing on his bicep curls, got a little distracted, was aware very quickly of his distraction, and he returned to his focused action. So I want you to be aware of those, and all 4 of them on purpose. And here is why. I'm going to walk you through all 4 of them. The first is the action piece. And you get this, right? As a culture, we are all about action, right? There's a Nike ad. Just do it. It is the action. It's a requirement for change. And you know that. You know that you need a solid action plan that works for you and your schedule, given what is going on in your life. And that action needs to be pointed towards your results. That's part 1, the focused action piece. And then guess what? You can always count on for part 2, the distraction. No matter what is going on in your life, you can count on some type of distraction. Distraction comes in the forms of calls, emails, children, colleagues, the stock market, noises, animals, other people interrupting you interrupting yourself. So whatever is going on, there is going to be 100% guaranteed some form of distraction. Plan on it. To know, oh, this is the distraction that Tracy talked about. It's supposed to happen. Okay, here we go. And once you recognize that there is a distraction, you are now into that 3rd energy phase. This is where it gets really juicy. This is where you have become aware of the fact that you are distracted. This third element is where you gain your traction again. And you can't gain your traction unless you are aware of the distraction. And this is the key point. This is the key element that I think we often overlook. There is going to be a distraction, and then we become aware that we are distracted. We become aware that we are distracted. And I kind of want to bang my hands on the table here and say, really pay attention to this point, because this is the point where we often give up, or we think that we can't go on, or that we don't have the motivation, or we don't have the energy. And the important lesson here is to recognize that our brain is going to get distracted. The world is going to distract us. We are going to distract ourselves. That's the way that it works. It works like that naturally. And then we become aware of that distraction, and that right there is the critical energy point where we get to practice self-command and self-control. This is where we get to flex the muscle of determination and resiliency and patience and discipline, or whatever it is that you think you don't have enough of. That point in time is exactly where transformation takes place. That point in time is where you are using some type of action, whatever that is for you, whether it's focusing in on a project or doing a bicep curl or meditating or paying attention to your loved one, whatever the action is that you have identified. This phase 3 energy point, when you realize you are distracted, is exactly where transformation takes place. That is the critical fiber of the muscles of all the self-leadership tools that we talk about, that we are looking for to perform at our optimum and to feel fulfilled. That is the innards of transformation. And it happens in that very quiet and often misunderstood or ignored or disregarded space of awareness that we are distracted and we're not taking our right action. When you are aware of this energy phase, that is where you can transform. That is exactly where you transform. It's the only place where transformation takes place. And then as soon as you're aware of that, then you can go to that fourth energy phase and you can go back to your focused action. That's where Tim went back to his bicep curl. And that's where Joe and Tim differ, because Joe made that distraction time shorter. He was able to stay focused and make the disruption to his action shorter. And that is what we are doing as we are practicing being conscious of these energy cycles in our mental gym as we are acting out in the world, as we are doing the things that we want to do to get the results that we want to get. Now, to bring this all together, I want for you to think of what I am calling a self-leadership burger. And the burger has 4 ingredients. And ingredient number 1 and ingredient number 4 are the buns, right? They are the actions that we are focused in on, that we want to take in order to create what we want to create. And the innards of that burger are distraction and awareness of distraction. Phases 2 and 3 of that mental energy. And that is the juicy part of the burger. It's the meat of the burger, and it's the part of the burger that we want to pay attention to. So I invite you to pay attention to your focused action, to phases 1 and 4, for sure, to plan them out. And I'm going to give you the same advice that I would give to my private training clients in the gym. And that is to choose an exercise. Choose one action, one exercise that is related to your results and to your visions and to what you really want in this world, and plan it, put it in your calendar, and then go to the gym. Go to the mental gym. When it comes time to take your action, and when you are engaged in that action, witness what is going on in your brain. Notice when you get distracted. Notice when you become aware that you're distracted. How long does it take? Are you like Tim and you're hanging out by the TV for a couple of minutes before you realize it? Or is it just a few seconds? And then use your brain to come back to your focused action and to stick with your plan. The ability to get back on track, to go from distraction to focused action again, to command your mind is the ultimate meta skill. Every single time you shift out of the unconscious to the conscious, you are using mental energy. You are carving a mental pathway that is strengthening your ability to follow through, and to follow through consistently, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're not seeing the results that you want, even when you are being distracted. And that takes practice. And here's the awesome part of that. Understanding this undercurrent, this mental shift of energy that is happening underneath the surface, allows you to go beyond measuring success solely based on the outcomes. You're not just focused on the size of your bicep or the dollars in the bank or the promotions, but playing with the energy itself, being in the mental gym, getting to know yourself and beginning to enjoy that energy exchange and getting control over it. That is thriving. And here is another really cool piece of this. That thriving starts as soon as you create a plan. When you decide that you are focused on a specific result and you come up with that one action and decide that you are going to focus your mind and your energy, you can feel the energy shift. I can feel it shift right now for you. You do not have to know how you're going to make it happen, or even the details, or even if it's going to happen. You can feel the energy shift within your body immediately. And that energy always feels better than indecision, or I don't know, or just cycling through the same behaviors over and over and over again. And going to the mental gym is both a little bit more difficult and also easier than going to your local Golds. First of all, it's free. You do not have to join or spend money on a membership. You can go anytime during the day. It's open all the time. You have access to all the equipment you need. It's right there between your temples. So it's very easy to get access to your mental gym. And now you even have the 4 stages, the 4 energy processes that you get to pay attention to in that mental gym. And it is going to be a little bit more difficult because guess what? Your brain has already been at the gym. It already lives there. It just may not know how to use the equipment, or it might be afraid of it. And so what your brain ends up doing is what it's always done. And maybe that looks like lounging on the equipment, or eating or sleeping or procrastinating or doing whatever feels comfortable. And so with these energy systems and the knowledge of it, you are basically shining a light on that equipment. You're dusting it off and asking your brain to do some exercises that it hasn't done before. And that often is a challenge. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about exactly how to do that in the next podcast. But for now, just go to your mental gym with a little bit more awareness and see what is going on in there. And if you need some support in doing that, I definitely recommend that you check out the links below, especially as we are approaching the holiday season, for some support in the inner circle or in a healthy leader cohort, so that you can walk into this next year, into 2023, with a solid foundation and understanding of your mental energy systems as well as your other energy systems, and how you can integrate them all to lead yourself and to create the life that you absolutely 100% deserve. All right? So go forth and create with your energy the most amazing day. Hey there, if you are ready to take your well-beingness to the next level, come visit thewellness.coach, where I've got lots of free resources. And make sure that you type in thewellness.coach, not .com, and I will see you there.